ਵੈਲਕਮ ਟੂ ਦਿਸ ਐਪੀਸੋਡ ਆਫ ਦਾ ਹਰਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਸ਼ੋ। ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਮੇਰਾ ਸਾਥ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਮੰਡੇ ਟੂ ਫਰਾਈਡੇ ਸਵੇਰੇ 7 ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ 8 ਵਜੇ ਤੱਕ, ਮੰਡੇ ਟੂ ਥਰਸਡੇ ਰਾਤ ਨੂੰ 10 ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ 11 ਵਜੇ ਤੱਕ ਅਤੇ ਸੈਟਰਡੇ ਨੂੰ ਦੁਪਹਿਰ 2 ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ 3 ਵਜੇ ਤੱਕ ਅਤੇ ਰਾਤ 8 ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ 9 ਵਜੇ ਤੱਕ। ਇਹਨਾਂ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਹੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਬਾਤਾਂ ਕਰੀਏ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਕਿ ਸਾਡੀ ਰੋਜ਼ਮਰਾ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਨਾਲ ਸੰਬੰਧਿਤ ਨੇ। ਖਾਸ ਤੌਰ ਉੱਤੇ ਸਾਡਾ ਫੋਕਸ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਸਪਿਰਿਚੁਅਲਿਟੀ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ, ਅਤੇ ਸਪਿਰਿਚੁਅਲਿਟੀ ਉੱਤੇ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਜੋ ਆਮ ਆਲੇ ਦੁਆਲੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਜੋ ਕੁਝ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਮੁੱਖ ਰੱਖ ਕੇ ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਉਸ ਸੰਦਰਭ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰ ਸਕੀਏ। ਇਸੇ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਅੱਜ ਵੀ ਇੱਕ ਮਹੱਤਵਪੂਰਨ ਵਿਸ਼ੇ 'ਤੇ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਤੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਾਥ ਦੇਣਗੇ ਹਰਿਨਾਮ ਸਿੰਘ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਜੀ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਕਿਸੇ ਵੀ ਇੰਟਰੋਡਕਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਸਿੱਖ ਪੰਥ ਵਿੱਚ ਮੁਹਤਾਜ ਨਹੀਂ ਹਨ। ਇਹਨਾਂ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਬੜੇ ਲੰਮੇ ਸਮੇਂ ਤੋਂ ਸਿੱਖੀ ਦਾ ਪ੍ਰਚਾਰ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਇਹ ਹਰ ਥਾਂ ਤੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਇਹੀ ਪ੍ਰਚਾਰ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਗੁਰੂ ਦੇ ਉਸ ਸਿਧਾਂਤ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜ ਸਕੀਏ, ਸਮਝ ਸਕੀਏ, ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਸਾਡੇ ਜੀਵਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਹ ਝਲਕ ਪੈ ਸਕੇ। ਧਰਮ ਦਾ ਮਕਸਦ ਸੀ ਸਾਡੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਨੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇੰਟੀਗ੍ਰੇਟ ਕੀਤਾ ਬੋਡੀ, ਮਾਈਂਡ ਅਤੇ ਸਪਿਰਿਟ ਨੂੰ, ਲੇਕਿਨ ਅੱਜ ਅਸੀਂ ਸੈਗਰੀਗੇਸ਼ਨ ਕਰ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਹਰ ਚੀਜ਼ ਦੀ। ਧਰਮ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੰਪਾਰਟਮੈਂਟਲਾਈਜ਼ ਕਰ ਦਿੱਤਾ, ਸੋਸ਼ਲ ਲਾਈਫ ਨੂੰ ਕਰ ਦਿੱਤਾ, ਆਪਣੇ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸ ਨੂੰ, ਆਪਣੀ ਨੌਕਰੀ ਨੂੰ, ਹਰ ਇੱਕ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਵੱਖਰੇ ਨਜ਼ਰੀਏ ਨਾਲ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦਾ ਕੀ ਸੰਕਲਪ ਸੀ, ਆਓ ਇਸ ਬਾਰੇ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਹਰਿਨਾਮ ਸਿੰਘ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਜੀ ਨਾਲ। ਜੀ ਆਨੰਦ ਜੀ ਭਾਈ ਸਾਹਿਬ।
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ।
Once again, a great pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you.
My honor to be here.
So, sir, if we can talk a little bit about the Guru's concept of integration, and when he talked about the body, mind, spirit concept, please take us back into history and what the Gurus had envisioned and where are we standing today and what needs to be done. For example, and I would like to start especially with when we talk about the body, mind, spirit issue, there are many issues in which we say it's not our concern, how is it going to affect us? But definitely being a part of this world, we are very much involved into it, but we consider ourselves to be out of it. For example, environment. So let's start from this journey of Guru Nanak Sahib and what he had envisioned and where we are today.
Well, you know, the first thing about Guru Nanak Dev Ji was that he taught that God wasn't just outside of you, but that God lived inside of you.
Right.
And the concept of Ek Onkar, as I translate it, is God and me and God are one.
Right.
So Guru Nanak Dev Ji was the first real, you could say, teacher, leader of a faith, who taught that you didn't have to go outside of yourself to find that God lived in you.
Right.
And that we're all part of this universe. We're not separated from it.
Right.
So every human being has a soul, an Atma, and that every human being has the relationship to the infinite soul, which is the Paramatma. So Guru Nanak Dev Ji, and you read in Japji Sahib, where he talks a lot about how we're all connected, we're not separated from this universe.
Right.
Now, no one else really talked in that way. And when he said that we weren't separated from the universe, he also said that each of us has a responsibility, in a sense, to protect that universe and to protect this environment and to honor it, you know, more so than anything else. And that honoring first started with ourselves. But as you're saying, we forget about that. We get caught up into the Maya, the illusion of life. You know, we get caught up just into, you know, how much money we can make, how many jobs, you know, our jobs, how many homes we can buy, our cars, everything. We get so just intertwined that we forget the bigger picture.
Right.
And we as Sikhs definitely have been taught to see a grander and greater view of life.
Right. Absolutely. So that grandeur of bigger picture which was shown to us, what happened? Since when have we started forgetting it? Because there was a time when we talk about the basic concept of seva also. We talk about Pai Kanhaiya. We talk about Red Cross today.
Yes.
But Pai Kanhaiya was probably the first person who, you know, started this concept.
Right. The founder
But today
of Red
again,
Cross.
we have, what happened to Sikhs with your research and, you know, of course, now being a part of Sikhism, but coming from outside, how do you perceive it?
Well, I think that we just lost an understanding of that connection. We get caught up into the Western way of life.
Right.
And I always say that we don't live by the standards of the Western life. Guru Sahib had given us the standards to live by. You know, we say Pavan Guru, Pani Pita, Matta Tarta Mahata. So what is Pavan? Pavan means the breath that we breathe. The Guru, why would Guru Nanak say Pavan Guru? Pavan means the breath that we breathe.
Right.
Pavan, breath, is pran or pranayam, which is life force energy. So Bhavan Guru means that within each of us lives that life force. What
Right.
happens if we don't breathe? We stop breathing, we're no longer here.
Right.
Why is it represented by Guru? Because the breath is what keeps us living.
Mm-hmm.
And the breath is the connection between ourselves and this planet Earth.
Right.
Without it, we're off this Earth. You know, Panipitta, that the water as the Father.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because water is sustaining ourselves.
Right.
And Father is that which gives us the stability.
Mm-hmm.
What have we done to the water? You know, you can't drink much
Right.
water anymore. You know, Matta Dharta Mahata, the Mother Earth, the giver of life.
Right.
So not only in the sense of, okay, a woman is the giver of life, but this Mother of Earth sustains the life.
Mm-hmm.
So the consciousness, starting from Guru Nanak Dev Ji, to protect this environment,
Mm-hmm.
to protect our understanding of our link
Right.
to everything. Vaheguru itself is the essence that within everything is Vaheguru.
Right.
Doesn't matter. Waha means that wonder. Everything
Absolutely.
exists, every molecule.
Mm-hmm.
And that my understanding, and of course what drew me so much to this way of life,
Mm-hmm.
was because it taught that every breath that you take,
Mm-hmm.
every sip of water that you drink, and every footstep you take on this earth is to be honored.
Right. Absolutely. That sense of honor, what you are talking, was to be seen in each and everything. Again, what I started in the beginning was we compartmentalize everything. Religion has become a more of an obligation, a duty. We have forgotten the, as you said, very rightly said, the Guru envisioned a grandeur place where we were contributing in each and every sphere of our life. So why do you think that this concept we have forgotten, and what needs to be done to gain, integrate all these things and not rather segregate?
Well, you know, in Siddhi Guru Granth Sahib Ji talks, you know, about the cycles of life and the different ages that we've lived through.
Right.
And through the golden age where everything was great, to the silver age when it got a little bit worse, to the bronze age where it got even more terrible, and to the Kali Yuga, the dark age, which, you know, where the Guru talks about that we're in now, that we forgot about who we are. And the world that over the 2,000 years of that cycle of those ages to now, you know, we basically destroyed this planet. Guru Nanak Dev Ji was brought to this earth 500 plus years ago, not very long ago, to
Right.
bring a message. Each of our gurus after Guru Nanak Dev Ji continued to build on that to give people an awareness and a
Right.
consciousness. Guru Gobind Singh Ji, of course, honored everything in life.
Right.
Yet we don't live it. We know the stories, we can recite the hymns, we can do Gurbani better than me, but are we living it?
That's right.
And what I was taught in this life, you know, oftentimes people come to me and they say, "Oh, are you part of that Sikh religion?" I said, "No." And they say, "You're not? You certainly look like you are." I said, "No." They
Right.
said, "What are you part of then?" I said, "I'm part of the Sikh way of life."
Right.
Because it's a day-to-day living
Absolutely.
to honor, you know, and the most simplest things, because we are. Guru gave us the bana,
Right.
right, so that we'd be known. So if I step out of my car and I throw junk on the ground and walk away,
Right.
and here I am in bana,
Right.
and to star everything, and say, "Oh, look at this, he doesn't have any consciousness." No,
Right.
we're taught, my understanding, that we should, you know, be examples of those who care for the environment,
Right.
just as we care for the human rights of all people.
Absolutely.
And we have a technology. Guru has given us Panchkakar, has given us
Right.
Bana, Bani, Seva, Simran, has given the exact formula to live a conscious life and an environmentally friendly life.
Right.
You know, and we probably live it in terms of keeping our hair and very natural. So we as ourselves, we talk about the physical aspect,
Right.
that we ourselves, Bana is that which is physical, right? And that gives us that identity and that we're known for that.
Right.
Bani is the mental, it's the inside, right? That's what we vibrate inside of us to give us the attitude
Right.
of gratefulness and to give us that awareness, right? And the seva, to do the seva, the selfless service,
Right.
is part of extension of the spirit. It's a blend. And Guru Nanak Dev Ji talked about that balance. All our gurus talked about learning how to balance our life.
Right.
And remember that our gurus did that in a time when they were under oppression, they
Oh,
were
yeah.
being attacked,
Right.
they were being, you know, Sangat was being tortured,
Right.
all those things that were happening. And yet our gurus never gave up that vision of a world of peace.
Right.
And Gurbani can bring us to that peace.
Absolutely. So, how to elevate ourselves from that lower consciousness to higher consciousness, and also, as far as these things are concerned, what about the new generation? Are they getting integrated into this or not? We'll talk about this after this small break. ਸੋ ਸਵਾਗਤ ਹੈ ਜੀ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰ ਫਿਰ ਆਪ ਸਭ ਦਾ ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਇਸ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ। ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਚੱਲ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਹਰੀਨਾਮ ਸਿੰਘ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਜੀ ਨਾਲ, ਤੇ ਬ੍ਰੇਕ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਬੜੀਆਂ ਹੀ ਮਹੱਤਵਪੂਰਨ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਬਾਰੇ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਕਿਸ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦਾ ਜੋ ਸਿਧਾਂਤ ਸੀ ਉਹ ਯੂਨੀਵਰਸੈਲਿਟੀ ਦਾ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਹਰ ਇੱਕ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨੂੰ ਇੰਟੈਗਰੇਟ ਕਰਦੇ ਸੀ, ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਕੰਪਾਰਟਮੈਂਟਲਾਈਜ਼ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀਤੀ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਸੀ, ਤੇ ਇੱਕ ਇਨਸਾਨ ਨੂੰ ਧਰਮ ਦਾ ਮਕਸਦ ਇਹ ਸਿਖਾਉਂਦਾ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇੱਕ ਚੰਗਾ ਜੀਵਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੱਕ ਇਨਸਾਨ ਬਣ ਸਕੋ, ਅਤੇ ਹਰ ਇੱਕ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਜੀਵਨ ਦੀ ਉਸ ਸੋਚ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਹ ਚੀਜ਼ ਝਲਕਦੀ ਹੋਣੀ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਸੀ। ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਹਰੀਨਾਮ ਸਿੰਘ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਨੇ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਕੌਨਸ਼ੀਅਸਨੈਸ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਉੱਚਾ ਚੁੱਕਣ ਦਾ ਗੁਰੂ ਨੇ ਸਿਧਾਂਤ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਸੀ, ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਵੀ ਜਾਈਏ, ਜਿੱਥੇ ਬਾਣੀ ਤੇ ਬਾਣੀ ਨਾਲ ਅਸੀਂ ਜੁੜੀਏ, ਤਾਂ ਇੱਕ ਐਗਜ਼ਾਮਪਲ ਵਜੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਪਣਾ ਰੋਲ ਨਿਭਾ ਸਕੀਏ। ਕੀ ਕਾਰਨ ਹੋਏ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਸ ਲੋਅਰ ਕੌਨਸ਼ੀਅਸਨੈਸ ਵਾਲੇ ਪਾਸੇ ਚਲੇ ਗਏ? ਉਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਐਗਜ਼ਾਮਪਲ ਦਿੱਤੇ ਕਿ ਸਾਡੀ ਸੋਚ ਵਿੱਚ ਪਰਿਵਰਤਨ ਆ ਗਿਆ। ਹੁਣ ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਇਸ ਸੋਚ ਨੂੰ ਉੱਚਾ ਚੁੱਕਿਆ ਜਾ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ? ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਰਾਹੀਂ ਇਹ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ। ਇਸ ਬਾਰੇ ਆਓ ਹੋਰ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਸੋ ਵਨਸ ਅਗੇਨ ਵੈਲਕਮ ਬੈਕ। So while we were talking that lower consciousness to higher consciousness stage, every person in this world is being influenced by some thought. And as Sikhs, we are very blessed that we have the Guru Granth Sahib, the Bani, which can guide us to lead a wonderful life. But we have just considered this Guru Granth Sahib to be only like a book now. We just cover it, and what it says, we are not ready to follow that, and not probably, but definitely that's the reason we are in this mess today.
Yes.
So Guru Sahib told us that your consciousness needs to be awakened. You have to rise from the bottom to the top. With your experience preaching Sikhism and being a part of this Sikhism, what do you feel? How to start raising your consciousness from the lower level to the higher level? Something has to be done. From where that can be started?
Well, the power of that is in Shabad. It's not, what I can do, what you can do. The power lies in the Shabad.
Right.
And the technology of Shabad Guru. Because our teachings are a science and a technology.
Right.
And you're correct to say that we don't follow that Hukanama. We don't follow that Gurbani. We get so caught up in life. We've talked about our children. Well, how will our children learn to be all these things? They study in school about environment,
right,
but they come home, they don't see it practiced in the home. They don't see that there's an example for them.
Right.
So that's why they drift away. And if we don't teach them, my thrust over all these years, I've been with the Sangat now almost coming to 40 years.
Right.
It's a long, long time. And I've watched and I've seen and I've taught all over the world, so many, to our children, to our young people, and to everyone, to our Sangats. And the key message is trust and believe in the science, because I learned it from a Western mind.
Right.
I studied it from a Western mind. I applied it from a Western mind.
Right.
Our children are raised here in the West. They want to know how things work.
Right.
So it's not enough just to say to them, well, no, just go to the Gurdwara. Well, they don't want to go. Why? Because there's no relevance to them. We have to make things relevant. The Gurus made life, living, environment, everything relevant.
Right.
We don't practice that relevancy of what our Gurus have brought to us, because the strength of everything, and just a simple example, I read that Hukanama, Guru Sahib says, don't worry about anything, everything is taken care of, all your debts are paid, I'm looking after everything, just, go on your way, right, simply, right? But we get scared. Well, what do you mean? Who's going to pay my mortgage tomorrow? And I got bills to pay, and this is due, that is due.
The faith is not there.
The faith is not there, and and we all face those challenges,
Right.
myself included. But I came to a certain point of my consciousness where I said, okay, Guruji, if that's what you're saying to me, then I'll trust it to be true.
Right.
And even if I don't know where tomorrow something's going to come from, I'm trusting because you told me it was coming, it shall be, don't worry about it.
Right.
And that was a hard step to take, certainly from a Western person,
Right.
let alone anybody.
Right.
To take that step to say, okay, I trust. And what I watched over time,
Right.
Jay, was that everything was taken care of.
Right.
It didn't matter. And I learned that I didn't know what phone call might come in tomorrow that might say, Harinam Singh, guess what? We're going, oh, really? Okay. And it's almost, like you see those people free falling, right?
Right.
Guru's saying free fall into the Sangat. Free fall into my words.
Right.
Don't be afraid. The Hukanam is the order of the day. It's a
Right.
direction. So if we don't hold that trust in ourselves, and we abuse ourselves and abuse this environment
Right.
as parents, as elders, as teachers, what have you, right, Gyanis, whatever, then how do we expect that our next generations
Right.
will want to follow in those footsteps, even if we have the history?
Right.
Even if we have the history,
Absolutely.
which is an amazing history,
No
and in
doubt.
fact, the sacrifices are unparalleled in the history of the world.
That's right.
Unparalleled.
Oh, yes. But how long can you carry on with that legacy?
Well, we have to carry on. We don't
Right.
have a choice,
right.
right? So we have to keep working and working. I'm devoted these 30 plus years,
Right.
God willing, whatever more years that Guru gives me, blessed to be on this planet, I will not stop educating, working, and bringing this technology,
Right.
not only to be embraced within our own Sanghats, but to be embraced by the world.
Right.
Because the power of Shabad Guru is a quantum science.
Right.
It's not just sound, vibration, words, music, raga. Nay, it's a vibration of sound that can alter the entire psyche of a human being
Right.
and of a whole humanity. And you see, the other thing that's key, that's, it's sort of hard to say, but in some ways that we as Sikhs have been given the authority to protect, so, the Guru Granth Sahib, right?
Right.
We have been given that authority. We don't own it.
That's
right?
right.
It's owned by, Guru Sahib. It's not owned by us.
Right.
We don't own it. But by some great good fortune and history and born to it or come to it, we've been honored to have in our
Yes.
way, possession, in our
Yeah.
Sanghats, the graciousness to have the Siddhi Guru Granth Sahib.
Right.
That could be taken from us. Who knows what the world will be?
Right.
But we're the protectors of the Guru Granth Sahib now, and we're the Sikhs, we're the Khalsa,
Right.
we're the ones who embody those teachings.
Right.
If we don't embody those teachings, then what happens? There's no more Guru in Gurdwara, right?
That's right.
The Gurdwara is there, but the reality is Guru's gone.
Right.
And that, I don't think that will ever happen, because wherever, one falls, 10 stand into place. That's the Khalsa way.
Right, no
For
doubt.
one that falls, 10 will stand.
Absolutely.
So my feeling is, we're strong enough as a Sangat, we're strong enough as communities in this world, even with all the, everybody has problems. There's no faith
Right.
that doesn't have its,
Yes.
politics and
Yes.
infrastructure.
With the changing times, things are changing, but definitely
Yes.
that faith perspective has to be there. But on the other hand, like you mentioned, that at homes, when the children come back, for example, you give the example of environment, what they are seeing at home is not in line aligned with what he or she has been taught in the school. So there comes
Right.
the dilemma, and the child gets confused. What is
Yes.
happening? There's another way of life at home. There's another way
Right.
of way in the society, and in that confusion, because while the parents are asking as role models to the children, you should follow Guru Granth Sahib, you should go to the Gurdwara, but how long? And ultimately, when their childs become independent, and then they revolt, and that's what we are finding in Sikhism also. From Bana, a lot
Right.
of our youngsters are going away because
Yes.
we have not been able to explain to them the importance, the significance, and until unless we are able to relate those things. Of course, as you mentioned, yes, the glorious years of the gurus, how long, definitely they'll stay forever, and we should be proud of that. But how can that legacy be continued until unless we also set ourselves as role models for our new generation?
What the new generation wants more than just the stories and the identification, they want the relevance.
Absolutely.
Why should I? How is it going to help me?
Right.
And that's what we're not giving them, the relevance. We can give them the stories, we can give them Bana, we can give them, but if we don't give the relevance
Right.
and the importance of to live it and what that can benefit,
Right.
they won't follow.
Right. And also another thing what we are finding out today is that no doubt in all the religions we are finding that the youngsters are drifting away from organized religion. So-called spirituality is
Right.
more in vogue, and people
Yes.
are talking about it. What's the need for Bani and Bana? You should be clean from heart. That kind of things are coming out. With your perspective, I would like to have your view on this particular issue, that when we say that there's no need for any organized thing, we need to be spiritual from inside, man saaf hona chahiye, your mind, your heart should be clean, and all those kind of things. What do you have to say about that?
That Gurbani is a tool. It's not a religion per se.
Right,
It's a tool that can help in that spiritual process.
right,
When I changed my born faith because Relevance wasn't there, teaching wasn't there, and experience more than anything else was not there.
Right.
When I started to listen to Kirtan and the Shabad, my experience, even I didn't understand what a word was, I didn't know anything when I started,
Right.
but I felt something inside of me just from the vibration of the sound itself.
Right.
And then I learned what is the relevance of this way to live, because everyone needs a tool. You know, how can a carpenter build a house without a hammer?
Right.
You know, how can a plumber fix a leaky thing without a wrench?
Right.
Well, how can one attain and achieve and sustain a higher consciousness without a tool? And the tools that we have
Right.
is Gurbani, right, is Shabad. All those things are tools
Right.
and technologies that can help a human being become uplifted.
Absolutely. Sir, it was a pleasure having you. Thank you very much for this.
My privilege.
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ,
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ।
ਸੋ ਅੱਜ ਹਰਿਨਾਮ ਸਿੰਘ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਜਿਸ ਵਿਸ਼ੇ ਤੇ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕੀਤੀ, ਇਸ ਦੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਅਹਿਮੀਅਤ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਖਾਸ ਤੌਰ ਤੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਗੱਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਵੀ ਪ੍ਰਚਾਰ ਅੱਜ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੈ, ਨੌਜਵਾਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਜੋੜਨ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਸਿਰਫ ਕਹਿਣ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਬਣੀ, ਪੇਰੈਂਟਸ ਨੂੰ ਐਜ਼ ਰੋਲ ਮਾਡਲਸ ਅੱਗੇ ਆਉਣਾ ਪਵੇਗਾ ਤੇ ਉਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਕੀ ਰੈਲੇਵੈਂਸ ਹੈ ਉਸ ਚੀਜ਼ ਦੀ, ਉਸ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਫੋਕਸ ਕਰਨਾ ਪਏਗਾ। ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਕੌਨਸ਼ੀਅਸਨੈਸ ਨੂੰ ਰਾਈਜ਼ ਕਰਨ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਹੀ ਇੱਕ ਸਹਾਰਾ ਹੈ, ਕੋਈ ਵਿਅਕਤੀ ਦਾ ਸਹਾਰਾ ਨਹੀਂ, ਲੇਕਿਨ ਇਸ ਗੁਰੂ ਦੀ ਬਾਣੀ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜ ਕੇ ਸਮਝ ਕੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਜੀਵਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਲਾਗੂ ਕਰਕੇ ਤਦ ਹੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੁਰੂ ਦੀ ਬਖਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਖੁਸ਼ੀਆਂ ਪ੍ਰਾਪਤ ਕਰ ਸਕਨੇ ਹਾਂ। ਨਹੀਂ ਤਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਿੱਖ ਤਾਂ ਖਵਾਵਾਂਗੇ ਪਰ ਅੰਦਰੋਂ ਸਿੱਖੀ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਜਜ਼ਬਾ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਝਲਕੇਗਾ।